Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. This week on RetroGrade I want to talk about a very unique and interesting game. In fact, I hesitate to call it a game really, but it is still entertaining to play with nonetheless. I am talking about Alter Ego, a 1986 release for the Commodore 64, designed by psychologist Peter J. Ferraro and published by Activision. The product was released in both male and female versions and sees the player creating an alternative personality or alter ego, before taking them through the different stages of life: infancy, childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, middle adulthood, and old age. Each stage is represented by a series of icons that depict different types of encounter, such as matters of the heart, health, education, and wealth. One of the things I like about the game is that it has been designed to be played with a joystick. It would have been quite easy to have made it quite complicated and dependent on a keyboard, but you can play through the entire thing with just a stick and one button thanks to the intuitive interface. The situations that the game will put you in can be very interesting, and I found it hard to stop playing, as I always wanted to see what would happen to me next and how my character would develop based on my choices. You see, the game is tracking certain statistics in the background, and future encounters will change depending on your actions in the past. For example, you may be given the choice to try out for your school sports team or to apply for advanced maths class instead, and one will boost your fitness whereas the other will boost your intellect. Granted, these choices are a bit binary, and real life depends on hundreds of tiny decisions that we make, rather than a few bigger ones each day, but it's not really meant to be a one-to-one simulation of life. Alter Ego is more of a psychological experiment, letting you play out various scenarios for entertainment purposes rather than any serious medical diagnosis. A lot of the situations in the game are rather whimsical or amusing, especially those throughout early life where you can see the world through the eyes of a child. Some of them, on the other hand, are really quite dark and disturbing and can result in the premature death of your character if you aren't very careful with your response. You can, for example, agree to get into a stranger's car when you're about 7 years old, which results in you never being heard of again. Also, because all of these scenarios were written in the 80s, a lot of them are rather dated in today's society. It can be rather fascinating seeing what life was like before cell phones were everywhere once again. The Commodore 64 version can be a bit of a chore to play through today, because each version comes on 4 separate discs, so there is a fair bit of swapping that needs to be done, and it can be rather slow to load in the next section or question at times. It's definitely a lot faster than many games I've tried to play on the system though, such as Turbo Outrun, which can take about 20 minutes to load each level. Visually, the game is pretty good actually, with some easy to read icons and nice clear text. I'm not really a fan of the brown colour scheme of the text boxes though. On the audio side, there is almost none to speak of really, just a beep to acknowledge that the game has registered your choice and is processing the next question. Should you wish to play Alter Ego today though, I have good news for you. You don't need to struggle along with the rather clunky and old C64 version. The original author has recreated the entire thing and updated it for modern audiences, and it can be played in your browser for free at www.playalterego.com. If this video has made you curious at all, I would recommend that you go and check it out, at least for a little bit. Overall, I would give the C64 version of Alter Ego a score of 4 brains out of 5. It is a unique piece of software on the system that is fascinating to interact with. So there we go, we've reached the end of another episode. I've been meaning to make this one for a while because I feel that more people should experience this quirky bit of software. I'll see you again for another video in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, take care.